Let's talk about 2 losses to the Tobacco Road teams and kind of puts a big dent in what we're hoping for as far as their postseason goes.
Yes and no. The postseason, when you start looking at the big picture, the teams that will be bubble teams, I think Syracuse's resume will hold up pretty well. The loss on Saturday to Duke was predictable, even without Zion Williamson. This last game against North Carolina, likewise. Carolina's a very good team. Those 2 teams will be either a 1 or 2 seed in the tournament. So I don't think that's going to hurt them. The bigger game is what is against Wake Forest this weekend. If they win that game, that prevents another bad loss, which they cannot afford on their resume. It gets them to 19 wins overall and 10 wins in the ACC. That alone should get them in. This team's flawed offensively and has been all year. Frank Howard, whether it be the injury or ineptness, has not been good. If you think about where they get points outside of Tyus Battle, there's nobody with a consistent contribution on this team. So they're limited, but I think they still get in.
I was encouraged by the way they played in the 2 losses. Right. I think they have shown flashes. Now, look, if you're talking about a team that can win 4 games and get to a Final Four, can they do that? Well, we've seen them do it before from this spot. But the whole year they've been listed seems to be as like 7, 8, 9 seed. I think they're going to stay in there. But as an 8-9 team, I will say this about Syracuse. Those 1 seeds are not going to want to see them be the team come out because they do play well against the top competition. And that Carolina game, and when they do shoot the ball, they are highly competitive in these games. So I don't know how it's going to end up for them, but even though they lost those games, I think I'm a little more encouraged than what sometimes you see against lesser teams when they don't show up as much.
Yeah, we talked about it a few weeks ago, right? Like, Boeheim is really good at coaching in the big games, and he may be not so good at coaching in the games that are just run-of-the-mill. I agree with Mike 100% that if they are in a tournament it doesn't even really have to be a great spot. I mean, they played themselves into the tournament and ended up making a run a couple of years ago, right? I just find it interesting. College basketball, men's college basketball, is the only sport where you can have a moral victory that matters. We were just talking about the Sabres, and they play really well against the Lightning Capitals and Maple Leafs back-to-back-to-back. But it doesn't mean anything, right? Syracuse goes out last weekend, loses a close game to Duke, plays really well against North Carolina. That's going to mean something to get them into the tournament, right? You don't have to be great. You just have to play well enough against the teams that are going to be great.
So a quality loss as opposed to a quality win.
Right.
Kind of stupid, right?
It means something up until the tournament starts.
Right.
And then at that point, it's like, you got to win or you're done. It's nice to have moral victories. But yeah, they have shown, I can't imagine any committee member that and watched them these last 2 games doesn't look at Syracuse and say, that's a tournament team. Maybe not a great team, but that's a tournament team.
And plus, how much does the pedigree and the history play into that
It
selection?
all goes in. And to your point about the losses, strength of schedule is a very important metric that plays in. When you're playing in the ACC and you got Duke, Carolina, Virginia in a couple weeks, this strength of schedule, I think theirs will be projected at like 10 overall this year. So
should be a lock then.
Yeah, I think they'll get in. It's just a matter of where they're seated and then where the committee might match them up because it is interesting as who they could play. I always wonder, is there a second-round matchup? I don't know how it would work out with a Washington. Is there a second-round matchup potentially with UB?
Could be a first-round matchup with UB or Washington.
It could be, right? Depending on how high or how far Syracuse does. They love those kind of matchups. They do.
I would love Washington.
And then the best part about it is when the committee will say, we didn't pay
Yeah,
attention.
they never pay attention to that. It just
It's
lands.
just how it worked.
It was a fluke, exactly. No, that never happens.